Hello everyone, my name is Havian, and today I'm going to be showing you Sword Art Online Lost Song, helping you decide if this is a game that you should play. Now, anyone that is familiar with my channel would know that I've been playing this game for quite a few months. I imported it and I've had a chance to play the Vita version, the PS3 version, and now this is the PS4 version. There are a few changes to this game, but I thought I'd actually finally do a should you play video or some sort of review video for at least one of the Sword Art Online games. So I thought I'd do it with this one. So I'll take you through some of the things you'll find in the menus. I'm actually using my profile that I had from the PS3 version of the game, and I've transferred it over to the PS4, so that is possible. If you do have a copy of the game from another region, you can cross-save if you feel like it, or if you do plan on upgrading. And cross-saving is a way that lets you carry your save between the different platforms. So this game is on PS3, Vita, and PS4, but only on PS4 and Vita in the West. So let's take a look at the different kind of options you can do. Flight, difficulty, display logs, minimap, vibration. I would recommend changing your flight to normal. It starts off on inverted, but I'll change it to normal, honestly. Then it's got a guide on there that tells you all the different controls that you can do inside of the games, or the different moves you can do. And sound options, you just got music, sound effects, and voices. Just the standard stuff. You do have a new game plus option that becomes available to you after you completed the game that lets you go through the storyline again if you want to. There's not really a great deal of reason to actually do that, but the option's there if you do. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to show you the game and share my thoughts on what I've found in the PS4 version in comparison to some of the previous versions, and my thoughts on the game in general. Alright, so first things first, if you are familiar with the Sword Art Online games, or this game in particular, and you have been following it since it was in Japan, you will know that Japan got quite a bit of DLC. And all of that DLC is included in the game over in the West. So all of the outfits you're going to get, and all of the extra missions you're going to get in the game as standard. All of the DLC, including the God Eater DLC, the towels, a lot of the stuff that were promotional items in Japan are already included in this game. So you don't have to worry about that. And let me show you. So there you go. You got the normal outfit. You got the school outfit, which I believe was a pre-order. The school outfit and the swimsuit were pre-orders, I think. And I think the bath towel was something else. I can't remember where you get that from. But in Japan, there were different ways you actually had to get them rather than just downloading. I think some of them you had to buy magazines to actually get them. And this is the area. This is your room, basically. Inside of this room, you'll be able to save the game. You'll be able to view some of the screens from throughout the storyline, so some of the CG images and some of the movies. This is where you'll go to change the equipment of all of your characters, and this is where you're going to find all of your equipment you've got throughout the game. This is like your storage chest, so you can store your items and all your equipment in there. Come to think of it, I'm going to need to take out a few of these items right now. I've got everything stored inside of there. So let me stock up on a few items since they're in there. So everything you can get, you can just store in here. So items wise, if you don't want to be carrying everything on your character, just dump whatever you want inside of here. Then you just take out what you need when you need it. That should be enough. I don't know if I'm going to need too many of those. And this is where you'll go to edit your party. So in this game, as you progress through the storyline, you will unlock new party members. You start off with you just start off as Kirito, and then within, I'd say about 10 minutes or so, more characters start joining your party. And then you'll eventually end up with a party of roughly 19 characters. You got a lot of characters to work with, a lot of characters to level up, and a vast majority of them are different, but you will get a few characters that pretty much copy-paste because of the races that they actually are. So they're probably going to, I think it's mainly the Kate Sith race, they're going to be using, they've got the same skills and they've got the same weapon types, a few of them. So they just pretty much copy-paste, so you won't need to, I guess if you're leveling them up, you can just probably pick your favorite Kate Siths and level them up. But yeah, you'll see all the different characters you'll be able to level up throughout the game, including characters from other things. Who knows if we're going to add any more, but Black Lotus is actually in this game from Axel World, which was a bit of a surprise to me. But that is revealed for story reasons. It's not really a spoiler or anything, but she's in the game. So I'm going to go out and I want to show you the different things you can do inside the town. So inside the town you have the item shop, you have a tavern which is over here, and you have the store which is over here. In the store you can upgrade your weapons and equipment, you can buy new weapons, or you can buy new armor as well. So it's not really armor, it's more like accessories. And down here You can see how many people are running around the town. They've filled up the town with NPCs a lot more than they did in the PS3 and Vita version. But there's a lot of people in here. I guess they're making use of the extra energy the PS4 has got. But let's go into the arena. This unlocks after you complete the game, so it's not going to be available to you right at the beginning. But you can actually challenge some of the members or some of the characters to actually fight against you. I have got a lot of dueling videos on the channel already, so I'm not going to do it right now. But if you do want to see every single character in duels, you can actually go and watch those videos. They're all over my channel. But they've actually filled up the arena with NPCs as well. That wasn't in the Vita version or the PS3 version that I played previously. That seems to be something they've added additionally. And I'm guessing this guy just lost. But I'm going to head out now. And I'm going to go into the shop to show you upgrading. So the way this game, actually, I'll get into upgrading a little bit later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the world. So in this game, there are 4 major areas you can go into. And in those areas, the story is going to take you through those different areas. So you'll start off in the meadows, and then eventually you'll just move on to the sand area, then the ice area, and then the final area. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the ice area just to show you what it's like inside of the field. Because I've shown you a lot of the grasslands area in all my previous videos. I want to show you what it's like out here. So there has been a few minor upgrades to the PS4 version. And I'm pretty sure you're going to notice when I take my weapons out. A few of the weapons have got new effects on them now. So you can see them all glowing. Some of the higher end weapons have a few special effects added to them. But it's nothing really major. It's just something that's nice to have, or nice to see, I guess you could say. So I'm going to go ahead and start killing a few enemies. With this game, you can set your skills to a palette. So let's go into a bit of the customization. So you got equipment, you've got skills, and you got items. Status is pretty much just a status screen that tells you what you've got equipped and your actual weapon levels and your character levels. All of my characters are high level because I have played this game for a while, and I do have money caps because I've been playing this game for a while. But equipment wise, you can equip, depending on the character, you can equip 3 different weapon types. I'm using Ryne at the moment. She can use dual wielding, she can use one-handed sword, and she can use a rapier. So I have access to those weapons, and I can equip, with dual wielding you can equip 2 totally different one-handed swords. It's not going to be you equip it's not that you equip a set of weapons that are kind of based on dual wielding. Like, they don't come as a pair, you just equip one of each weapon. So you can customize a little bit more with dual wielding. Or you can go one-handed sword and just equip a shield if you want to. Or you can equip a rapier into it. You can have rings as well, you can have necklaces, and you can have amulets. There's only, I believe, 1 amulet that actually changes your character's appearance, but for the most part, the only thing that changes in appearance on your character are going to be your armor, which is just outfits. There's no stats attached to them. And they're going to be your weapons. They're going to be the only thing that actually change on your character. And for skills, this is how you customize your character or make them unique. As you level up, you will learn new skills. Well, as you level up your character's level, you will learn new magic, you will learn new battle skills, and you will learn new passives. As you level up your weapons level, you learn new sword skills. And you will learn a few new passive skills as well. So it's going to depend on... it's a lot of grinding in this game. There's a lot of grinding if you want the grind. And when I say grinding, it's in terms of leveling up your character, leveling up each skill individually, leveling up your weapon level, leveling up your magic level individually. A lot of grinding. That's if you want to be as powerful as you possibly can. But I'll get a little bit more into that, because even though you can get really powerful, you don't really need to. The game doesn't really push you back in any way like that. So here we go, I've got all my skills attached, and I've got 2 other party members with me, and I've tweaked their skills a bit. So the skills that you have attached to your party members, they're going to be ones that they use during combat, so you can customize them to use their attacks and healing spells or buffs that you want them to. So I'm going to go ahead and buff my party up, and I'm just going to start killing a few enemies. The enemies around there aren't too strong, but I have got the game in hard mode. I do generally play this, well, I've been playing this in hard mode for various reasons. I'll go into that when I start talking about the extra missions. But what can I talk about while I'm here? While I'm here, I guess I can talk about story mode. So during the game, the story, the reason I say story mode is because there's pretty much 2 games built into this. You got a standard JRPG where you just go through playing through the story, and then you got a hunting game attached to it. And the hunting game pretty much opens up fully once you've completed the main storyline. Is it a good JRPG and a good hunting game? It does enough for both of them, but it doesn't excel at either one. It's a fun storyline. If you're a fan of the Sword Art Online series, you'll enjoy it. If you're coming in here looking for like an amazing story, you're not really going to find it unless you are just looking for a little bit extra from the characters you already know from the Sword Art universe. Story-wise, don't come in here looking for something special or something amazing. It's a bit of extra fan service, but it's fun. Combat-wise, you can attack with square and you can attack with triangle as well. Square's gonna do your light attacks and triangle's gonna do your heavy attacks. Circle dashes, and if you hold down circle, you'll start flying. Seeing as this game is based in ALO, or ALfheim Online, you can fly around. Combat in the air is similar to the combat on the ground, but you do get a few extra moves you can do mid-air that you can't actually do on the ground. X is gonna jump, R1, holding R1 and then pushing circle is gonna let you block. Then if you push circle while you're blocking, you'll do a counter attack, which is a very basic counter attack. It's more like a move you can do while in a defensive stance. I wouldn't really say it's a counter, because you do have some sword skills that will act as a real counter. Then if you hold down R, you can push, and you can assign different sword skills to the different buttons. You can assign them to the D-pad, or you can assign them to triangle, square. And if you push the button, you will be able to do one of the sword skills. And you can link them into your combos. So if let's say I start attacking this guy, I can link it into a starburst. It's not always seamless because there is going to be a tiny delay when you actually start doing an attack, but it is possible to do. And there's a variety of different attacks. I think every weapon is going to get about let's say 6 attacks. But then you have unique skills that certain characters will have. It's a bit disappointing that not every character is going to have their own unique skill. There are only a few new unique skills that are unlocked throughout the storyline, but there are only 4 characters that actually get them, which is a bit dumb, honestly. I guess it's good for story reasons, but for keeping the characters balanced, or for giving you a reason to use all the characters, it kind of sucks that only 4 of them actually get something good. Well, not really, well, only get something unique, I should say, because a lot of the sword skills that other characters can use are still good, even though they don't have anything unique going for them. It's not to say that the other characters are weak, it's just that some of the OSS skills, or the original skills, can be just ridiculously powerful. Like that one, for instance. Even though it's ridiculously powerful, if I was to get hit during that attack, I could be knocked out of it. But now for some of the moves you can do in the air. If I start flying, you can push the D-pad down to actually drop back to the floor, or if you press left or right, you can actually start hovering again. And if you push up on the D-pad, you can start flying forwards. Well, it's auto-flying basically. If you hold down R1, you'll start gliding a little bit faster, and if you push X while you're gliding, you'll speed up. And you can push circle to evade while in the air. So if there's certain bosses that will shoot at you while you're in the air, so you can actually evade like that. But you can do aerial attacks and you can fight enemies mid-air too. So I'm gonna fly all the way up here and fight some of these guys in the air. These guys are annoying to fight because they can give you status effects like stun. But let's mess with a few. If anyone has actually seen the PS3 version or the Vita version, you probably already noticed that there's a lot of enemies on the screen in the PS4 version. That is a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing because there's a lot of enemies to fight. But a bad thing because when it comes to targeting, you will more often than not target the thing that you don't actually want to lock onto. So let's say you're fighting a boss around you like right now and there's loads of these enemies around you. There's a good chance you're going to target the lesser enemies rather than the boss. You'd kind of think they would have the bosses be priority for targeting, but it just seems to target. Sometimes it feels like it's targeting anything. Another addition to the PS4 version is you have bosses roaming around. So this is a boss that did appear randomly on the PS3 version. I don't know if it was something they intended to put in there from the beginning, but it just wasn't there properly. But now this boss is actually always there. As are the other areas. There's bosses in all of the other areas in the game as well that weren't actually there on the Vita and the PS3 version previously. But this boss in particular was there. So that is, I guess that's something new. Do you have, underneath the map, there's a union bar. You can see that's been filling up while I've been fighting. And that will allow you to actually switch with a party member or gives you a short time buff. So every character has their own special benefits to being in Union Rumble. So during Union Rumble, the character I'm playing is now Ryne. She will have increased attack, increased defense, and increased critical. It lasts roughly around 10 to 15 seconds. I'll say probably about 10 seconds. And during that time, I'm going to have all of those buffs, and I'll be able to switch with another party member. When I do a switch, it sends it. You can select which party member you want to go in for a pretty big hit. So while those two are fighting over there, I'm going to see if I can switch on one of these. So let's see. I'll wait for Sumeragi to catch up. Where is he? All right, here we go. So I'm going to go into Union. I'm gonna start fighting an enemy. There we go. So you can see he runs in. You have to trigger that, you push triangle and circle, and then you can push square or triangle directly after that. And then you'll switch with the party member. That is a really common question for people that actually play in the game, so I thought I'd drop it. I'll let you know now, but there are some advanced things you can do with switch. But I guess I'll leave that for another time. For now, that's just how you switch. Now, what is there to actually do in these areas? I mean, you've got 4 open areas in the game, and for the most part, you're only going to really be using them for the story-related things. So throughout the storyline, they're going to start you off in the grass area and move you through the different areas, like I said before. And there are various dungeons. So every single door that you see on the screen right now is a dungeon. You'll go into these different dungeons, and let me see if I can actually find one. There should be one in this direction. You go into these different dungeons, and usually you'll fight a small boss at the end of them. But the sad thing about it, or the annoying thing about it, is they are only story related. There's only one dungeon in the game that you can do that is not tied to the storyline, or not tied to the main storyline. So there's not really any room for exploration in this game at all. If you want to go to a location, you're gonna be directed there by the story. It's not gonna be a case where you just wander into it by chance or by just looking around. It's the story dictates where you're allowed to go, because for the most part, these dungeons are locked until you actually get to the certain part of the storyline where they open up. So they kind of hold your hand throughout the game. I guess it's standard for some JRPGs, but considering this is, even though it's not a direct sequel gameplay-wise, this is a sequel to Hollow Fragment. So the characters you're playing with in this game were the ones that were in Hollow Fragment, and they do reference that in this game. But seeing how open Hollow Fragment was, and seeing how you could pretty much just go around exploring that game and doing whatever you want in that game whenever you want, it feels like a step back. It feels like your choices are a bit limited in terms of exploration in this game, which is a bit sad. So this is pretty much one of the dungeons. This is just one of the many dungeons you'll be able to go through. But for the most part, the dungeons in the game actually do look exactly the same. There's not going to be much difference between them. But it's all going to be just for story-related things. But I guess it's fine for what it's trying to be, or for what it's trying to do. But I guess it's just not enough. I kind of expected more coming from Hollow Fragment. From what I can remember, you'll spend roughly around, if you're watching all of the scenes and you're doing all of the story, you've got a good 30 or so hours of story time. Or story play time. It could be a little bit longer if you decide to do a few side things along the way. And when I say side things, it's got nothing to do with these big open areas. It's all going to be done through the extra quests and just the questing system, where you have to pick a quest, you go out, you kill the enemies that it tells you to kill, and then you come back. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the questing system now. Oh, let me go back to the entrance. It should be back this way. So the types of quests you can do, one of them is very similar to a hunting game. Like I said earlier, this game is part hunting game once the storyline is pretty much done. And it's also part just normal JRPG or normal storyline. But once the storyline's done, I'll show you what these missions are like, or I'll show you what the missions are going to be like after you've completed the main story. Because honestly, once you're done with the storyline, there's pretty much no real reason to actually come back to these areas at all. Apart from doing a bit of quest cleanup, you're going to be, once you're done with this area, yeah, that's it. Once you're done with the storyline, just say goodbye. And it's the same for pretty much all of them. All the different areas, there's no real reason to go back apart from one extra dungeon at the end of the game. Alright, so let's get to the extra missions. So this is the Tavern. This is a place where you'll be able to pick your extra missions, you'll be able to start multiplayer mode, and these are going to be the missions that you'll be able to do during multiplayer. And you can create your own character. A lot of people have been asking for character creation in a Sword Art Online game. It was very basic in Holofragment, but they have... they've added it into this game, but it's still it's customization wise, it's more basic than Holofragment was. So you can pick your different races. That's cool. You can play as your different races. You can name them, but in terms of customizing their appearance, very limited. You've only got 2 different types of appearance options you can choose from. You've got 3 voices, but visuals wise, just 2. So they just look, it almost feels like the character creation was just tacked on because they saw there was a demand for it and they just thought, okay, so how can we do something so we can add a bit of character customization to this game, or character creation to this game, even though we didn't really intend it from the beginning. So I guess they just got the NPCs that were standing around town and just threw them in. Make your own NPC that you can play as them. It's some of the custom characters can be really strong, so I'm only really knocking it visuals wise. But that being said, there's no real big reason to make a custom character if you've got 19 other characters that are more interesting and generally have better skills attached to them, or unique skills attached to them. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and speak to this lady here. So at the quest counter, you can accept quests. So side quests are going to be just standard quests where you got hunting ones and you got gathering ones. Hunting ones, you just kill certain enemies that are out in the open world. Then you'll get a money reward, or for the first time you complete it, you generally get a different reward. And it's going to be the same for the gathering quests. You go out into the world, you collect a few materials, and then you bring it back to the quest lady and she hands you a reward. You can have quite a few side quest ones, so you don't actually have to go out of your way to do them. You just pick up a few side quests, go out and just continue with the storyline, and generally as you're playing through the story, they'll just complete themselves because you'll be completing the objectives. And then we have extra quests. Extra quests are going to be the main bulk of the post-game content. So this is where the hunting game side of it comes in. For the most part, it's going to be, I guess you could say, boss fights. But you do have missions where you're going to be fighting bosses, you're going to be fighting just different types of enemies, or just large amounts of different enemies. And then you have ones where you're going through dungeons, you have to clear the dungeons. The dungeon ones are the most interesting one because you do have to progress as far as you can into them and then kill the boss right at the end. And the boss at the end is level 1500. And as far as I know, that is the only point in the game where you can actually fight bosses that high level. Oh, but extra quests. Man, I love them. They're fun. But in terms of hunting games, it feels like they've missed the point. The progression in here, it doesn't feel like there's any progression whatsoever. It feels like they're just in the game for you to, just an extra for you to do. But it feels like they missed the whole point of a hunting game. You can do these in multiplayer. In multiplayer, you're going to be doing them on the hardest difficulty. But in single player, you can change the difficulty of them. The difficulty doesn't really scale too well because in normal difficulty, all of these are going to be pretty much easy. For easy difficulty, it's going to be easy, and for hard difficulty, bosses are going to be killing you in one hit. So it's a bit weird. I think for the difficulty settings, they should have made it so. Let me pick a mission and actually speak about this. I think for difficulty settings, they should have And I'll do Illusion Flower, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. There's a good chance I'll die, but I'll still pick it. So this is gonna be I'm playing on hard mode at the moment, but you'll see. I'm playing this on hard, and this is the difficulty I would expect for a 10-star mission. But when you're playing it in normal, there's no challenge whatsoever. The main point of the hunting missions, or the extra missions, is to get better gear. And that's generally the point of a hunting game. You're gonna be playing hunting games to fight bosses or fight enemies to get better gear, upgrade your equipment so you can do even harder things and fight even bigger, badder bosses. But you don't actually need to do any upgrading in this whatsoever. You'll kill a boss, and there's a good chance you'll kill that boss pretty quick, and you'll only need to kill that boss once. And then you'll move into the next quest. There's quite a few quests though, there's like 50 or so quests. But you'll move on to the next quest, or the next set of quests, and you won't really have much reason to go back to the ones you finished. So it's a case of you just do the quest once and you move on to the next one. You do the quest once, you move on to the next one, so on and so forth. It's a bit disappointing because the weapons you get from some of these bosses, you would expect them to last you a while, but you'll get the weapon, or you'll get the piece of equipment, and by the time you've decided, okay, I'm gonna upgrade this weapon, but let me just do the next mission, you've already got one that's better than it. So it feels like and that's another thing, the drop rate in this is ridiculous. There's a chance you get stuff, there you go, one hit kill. There's a chance you get stuff instantly after you complete a mission. Alright, let's see if any of my AI are gonna pick me up. For the most part, they can be pretty smart, but sometimes they can be brain dead. There we go, so he's picked me up. But this is what I would expect from a 10-star mission. But I'm actually, because of the scaling in this, I'm actually having to go out of my way to make the game a bit harder for myself. Because the only reason you actually need to upgrade equipment in this game, or upgrade your weapons, is if you're playing in multiplayer a lot, or if you're playing on the hardest difficulties. If you're playing the game on normal, or if you're for some reason playing it on easy, you'll have no reason to touch the upgrading whatsoever. But I guess saving grace of this game is the way they designed some of the bosses, or the way they intended their progression to be, I should say. I can see what they were going for in the beginning, but it just kind of falls flat as you get a little bit further into it. The bosses in the 10-star missions, like the one I'm doing right now, this one's not going to have it right now because there's a second phase of this fight and the second boss will have it, but the bosses will start regenerating their HP. So it's going to be a case where you need to kill the bosses as fast as possible, or you're not going to complete the mission. See, that's something I like. That's a reason why you'll need to upgrade your weapons and equipment, but the only way you can actually see that side of the game is if you go out of your way to turn the difficulty up, or if you're playing the game in nothing but multiplayer. But that asks another question though. Why bother playing in multiplayer if you can get all the weapons and equipment easily in single player without even having to touch multiplayer? If you can get pretty much everything you want in the space of a day or so, why go out of your way to jump into multiplayer and make the game harder for yourself so it takes longer to get stuff? I say that, but I'm doing it. But that's because I like the challenge. The difficulty makes it fun. It gives you a bit of a reason, but I just wish that reason was something that was intended rather than something I had to go out of my way to do. It just feels like the progression is lost. I mean, even though I've got these fancy looking weapons, they're still, everything I've got is pretty much unupgraded. So blades and swords, they're all just flat. You can get your weapons and equipment to +10. I think the only bit of equipment I upgraded was straight sword to +7. But honestly, there was no reason for me to do it because the bosses weren't really posing much of a challenge, or enough of a challenge for me to need it in normal and easy difficulties, that is. Once you pump the game up to hard, that's when you'll need it. But what they should have done is they should have made a difficulty curve. They should have made the same difficulty curve that is in multiplayer applied to the single player game. So you would actually have to have a reason to do a bit of upgrading. You get a bit of equipment, you move on to the next stage of equipment or the next tier of equipment, you upgrade it, you fight bigger bosses, You keep fighting the bosses to get materials to upgrade those weapons and equipment. And then you just keep going up the ladder. But right now it just feels like you don't really need to do much ladder climbing. It's just a matter of, okay, you've done the quest once, there's your reward, you get the weapon. Would you want to upgrade it? Alright, do the mission a few more times, but even though you don't really need to upgrade it, you're just doing it because it feels like you're going through the motions rather than anything. Alright, this is the one I need to be careful with. Pay attention to this boss's HP, you'll see that it starts regenerating. And this is one of the 10-star quests, so you won't see HP regeneration until you reach the rank 10 missions, or the 10 stars. But the extra missions are going to be the only place you'll be able to find some of the higher rank weapons. So I think for rank, I'd say rank 10 weapons and rank 9, maybe rank 9, you're going to only be able to find them in the extra missions. And those are going to be the better weapons that you can find. Alright, I'm gonna hope that Sumeragi picks her up because I don't think, in terms of my items, I didn't take out any resurrection items. Alright, so go on Sumeragi, you're gonna have to pick her up. But yeah, pay attention to her HP. Or pay attention to the boss's HP and you'll see that it keeps going up. Or it will keep going up as I fight this thing, so you need to kill it quick. But I guess people are going to get a lot of enjoyment out of this if you're more of a multiplayer gamer, because this is the kind of difficulty level you're going to get from multiplayer, and you can do it with your friends. And I guess that's where the main draw of the game is going to be for most people. Or at least I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend playing this in multiplayer if you are going to be getting it. Or at least cranking the difficulty up if you're just going to be playing the game through solo or single player. Just to get the best out of it. I mean, you will breeze through everything else if you don't. That being said, early in the game, or very, very early in the game, I'd say the first island, difficulty level is a bit sketchy. Or the difficulty settings are a bit sketchy, I guess you could say. Some of the fights that you fight really early on, for people that are just entering the game and playing it for the first time, they're gonna be rough. I thought I'd just give you a heads up. It feels like some of the fights are really easy early on, but then there's just one fight in particular that is it's just tough. It will be tough for a few of you, so just try and last through it, because after that it's pretty clear sailing. The game doesn't really get too difficult after that. Okay, Union Boss charges up again. Let's see if I can stun him. There we go, switch. Another inclusion of the PS4 version I guess I missed out is they've added a few more rare enemies. And by rare enemies I mean they've added some enemies that just show up randomly, and they've added a few AI NPCs that will attack you on the field. So there's a bit of fake PvP or false PvP included in the game. And PvP is one of the things you can actually do in this game. So that is going to be as it stands, it's going to be the main reason for upgrading your character. That's going to be if you want to take part in the PvP. Creating different builds for your character and upgrading it, that's going to be the main draw for doing that. Because you can actually fight against people. They're going to be team-based competitive games, and there's going to be ones where it's 1v1. And there's going to be team-based ones where you fight the opposing team plus a boss on the opposing team. So you're fighting, it's a mix of AI, and it's a mix of a few control characters in there. And the fights can be pretty big. They can be pretty hectic. When you got a full team versus when you got a full team, I think it's 8 versus 8, plus NPCs, plus a boss. I think it's either 4v4 or 8 versus 8. I can't remember. Ah, damn. Drop. I need to drop down. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I've got a healing item. Oh, okay, I do. Let me use another one just in case. And let me actually use this one. I'm gonna get hit. Oh my god, one shot. Let's see if Sumeragi can get me up. What I should have done there is use the AoE healing item. There we go, let me get up and get away from here. Now something like that happening can prove fatal because the boss is getting his HP back constantly during this. So I need to go and check on the boss's HP now to make sure it hasn't gone back up. Right, the second bar, or that bar is starting to go back. Let me make sure I can get rid of it. So this enemy, the boss keeps getting stunned because I actually have the status effect attached to my weapon. So you can have status effects attached to your weapon. You'll find weapons that have status effects attached to them, and you can use those weapons to do status effects on enemies or bosses. But I guess that's gonna be where the grind comes in. I guess that's why there's such a ridiculously high drop rate, because you can find you'll want to keep finding the same weapon over and over and over again, so you can get a better roll on the attachments it has and a better roll on the damage it has, because you can find the same bit of equipment and it can have different levels of attacks. So even though these swords I've got now, let's see, oh damn, bad timing. So these weapons I've got now, let me take a look at them. They are, let's see, are they both the same attack rating? Yeah, so they both got the same attack rating, but if you're lucky enough, you can find ones that have a higher attack rating, and you can find ones that have better attributes attached to them, or status effects attached to them. Let me make sure these two don't die, because I don't have any more resurrection items. Big mistake. I left everything inside of my storage. Okay, so I've stunned it. That's one of the advanced moves you can actually do with Union. You can stun the bosses for an extended period of time if you are actually in... Whoops. If you are in Union. Or if you're flying, I mean, and in Union. You can't actually do that if you're on the ground, as far as I know. Or as far as I've tried. Right, maybe I can finish this guy from a distance. Let's see. No! Oh my god, that was close. That was so close. Alright, he's down. But yeah, that's what I expect from a 10-star mission. But the only way you're gonna get that is if you play on multiplayer, if you play it on hard mode. The normal difficulty they set you on is for the extra missions. For the storyline, it's fine. Alright, storyline is for the most part, it's scaled okay, or it's scaled pretty well. But for extra missions, because once you start actually getting into these missions after you've completed the main storyline, it's going to feel, a majority of them are just going to feel like a walk in the park, because you've already out-leveled them by the time they give them to you to do, I guess I should say. And then here's the multiplayer guy. So this is who you'll speak to if you wanted to actually do a multiplayer party. So you can pick multiplayer, you can pick PvP, you can decide which one you want to do. So you can search for a room. There are different options available to you. You can create your own room. Ignore the password, that's just a bunch of random nonsense. You can set the room title, you can set the difficulty of the quests you actually want to do, and you can set the number of players, you can set voice chat, that kind of thing, and you can do the same thing for PvP. But let me actually show you the process of upgrading equipment. Alright, let's identify weapons. So when you're actually killing enemies or killing bosses, you will get unidentified items. And then you can identify those items. So let's see. You can identify those items and... is this any good? Well, it's a rank 10 one. It seems alright. You can identify those items and then you can find out what they actually have in them and you can equip them. And if they're any good, you can keep them, or you can just sell them to Agil. That's how you end up with a lot of your money. You just sell all the weapons you don't want to this dude, and he takes them. He takes every single one of them. And for upgrading your weapon or enhancing them, you go to Lisbeth. It'll tell you the materials you actually need to make those items or to enhance those items, and then you use them. For the most part, for the first few attempts, it's always 100%. But then as you get, I think it's like +4 or +5 from then on, then the percentage drops and drops and drops. So you're going to need more materials and your chance of success is going to be a lot less, but you'll get more attack from it. And that's pretty much it when it comes to upgrading your weapons. You're going to want to find your perfect weapon, or the perfect weapon that you want to use. Then you're going to have to upgrade that weapon. You're going to have to kill bosses to actually upgrade it. But the main downside I would say to all of that, this is all post-game stuff that I'm talking about here. So the whole upgrading weapon thing. Post-game, you're gonna get your favorite weapon. You're gonna keep killing the enemies for him. You're gonna get your favorite weapon. You're gonna go and you're gonna upgrade it. But the main point is for what? Because there's no real sense of progression in the extra missions. Why are you upgrading this weapon? It feels like you're just doing it for the sake of it. I mean, I guess it's not really a bad or good thing, but there could be more of a purpose to it. I guess the only real reason you're going to upgrade is for PvP, and if you're playing it in hard, or if you want to get things done faster in multiplayer. But for a single person that's playing on single player, there's no real great purpose. But I like playing on multiplayer, and if you do like playing on multiplayer, then there's going to be your draw, or there's going to be your purpose. Well, there you go. That is for the most part Sword Art Online Lost Song. There's a lot, I guess there's a lot to it, but you're going to have to play it for yourselves and find out. If you want to see some more games, or you want to see more gameplay about Sword Art Online games or Lost Song in particular, then I suggest you subscribe to this channel if you are not already. And if you are subscribed to this channel, then share this video around for anyone that is thinking about buying this game, or for anyone that has already pre-ordered it and was kind of on the edge of thinking, should I? Shouldn't I? Shouldn't I have? But yeah, until my next video, I'll see you all later.